Hey guys, welcome to Fake Work with Justine. First off, let me apologize to the collective for this episode's delay. Life is chaos and sometimes you're on the receiving end of it. Sorry for that little peek into my existential crisis. I'm so glad you could join me. In this episode, we're about to go on a journey. It's an economy class SGR journey where your back faces off with a hard back seat, your knees get all cramped up, and there's no room to properly stretch, but you have to get to coast because that's how society likes to ignore everything that's hurting everyone. In February, Citizen Digital published a story of a 16-year-old girl who was hospitalized in Kitui after a botched abortion attempt on a 5-month-old pregnancy. The DCI stated that her school head teacher was responsible, who then fled after the abortion went south. This story is the intersection of the lack of abortion care and statutory rape that is extremely rampant in all areas of this country. In this episode, I would like to focus on abortion care, the problem with abortion stigma, and why this isn't just a women's issue. I know, this episode is about abortion, and before you fly off your moral handle, see if we can get to the very end and then feel free to leave a dislike. Okay? Cool. People get abortions for all sorts of reasons: unplanned pregnancies, dangers to the life of the mother, because they were victims of incest or rape, and the first and only reason that they should actually give, which is, it's frankly none of our business. I know talking about abortion makes a lot of people blood boil, but it suddenly closes when people mention childcare, reproductive health care, or sex education. A lot of individuals are pro-life and believe abortion should be illegal, but I believe it's something we can live with. Residents of Langata are living under a bucket of water a week, so I think we can extend the same pretense for people who actually need reproductive health care. Remember, this is not just an episode where Marie stops the show, but one that points out that there's a lot more to reproductive health care than misinformed ignorance. Starting us off on some sad truths, complications from abortion are the 4th leading cause of maternal mortality. The estimated percentage is 7.9%, but even data collectors and analysts warn that this is possibly an underestimation because of underreporting or misclassification. You know it's really bad when data guys are like, well, we could be wrong, considering how much Lil Wayne and every mathematician to ever exist insisted that numbers do not lie. According to the World Health Organization, and the biggest opponent to the English word WHO, 55 million abortions occur annually around the globe, with about 4.2 million happening in all of Africa. 76% of abortions in sub-Saharan Africa are unsafe. 50% of the unsafe abortions in Africa occur among young women and girls aged 15 to 24 years. These statistics are like a rule of threes, but make it depressing. Before delving into the dangers of unsafe abortions, let me first explain what they are. I had to bring out the health dictionary for this because I believe information is power over WebMD. WHO defines unsafe abortion as a procedure for terminating a pregnancy performed by persons lacking the necessary skills or in an environment not in conformity with minimal medical standards, or both. This means that there are enormous subpopulations of women and girls affected when abortion care is limited. They include women from rural areas, many who are less educated in formal education, women living in poverty, adolescents, and unmarried women. Married women also include a significant percentage of women who get abortions, and this directly stems from their one-on-one experience being tackled down the economic ladder by the cost of childcare and the burden of family planning. One of the main reasons unsafe abortions occur is because of stigma. A lot of people have this assumption that when people condemn something because they think it's morally reprehensible, that it's going to magically disappear. Like the magic in Kenya when you're a local tourist. Hate to be the one with the hello from the other side, but just because you don't like something doesn't mean it won't take place. You're all burying your heads in the sand, but you're inside an hourglass and it's only a matter of time before everything is flipped. That's a metaphor I wrote for this episode and checked for plagiarism too. So I would like my name besides Plato's in all my future references. So what's the problem with shame, stigma, and morality? Abortion stigma stems from the negative effects of how society views abortion, people that seek abortion services, those who work in abortion care, and people who actively support abortion rights, like me. This is like the domino effect of hate culture. It's consistent, destructive, but most importantly popular because it's done for the moral good. I know many people won't want to finish watching this. You're probably scrolling for the next YouTube video as we speak, but if you're still with me, thank you for being so brave. Stigma is experienced in three ways. There's perceived stigma, like what will people think of me? There's experienced stigma, which is harassment, rejection, and abuse. Then there's internalized stigma that includes personal shame and guilt. It's like a three-tier cake, but all of it is just njahe wrapped in even more njahe. You can replace this with a food you hate. The key drivers of abortion stigma, especially in this continent, are cultural and religious fundamentalism. And I get it. People love a good double standard. Politicians can rerun for office after fueling the atrocities of post-election violence, but when it comes to reproductive health care, it's a strong, how dare you offend God like this? Irving Goffman, a Canadian-American sociologist, stated that stigma reduces an individual from a whole and usual person to a tainted and discounted one. We throw nuance out of the window together with the bathwater because it's easier to be right and judgmental than understanding and accommodating. Abortion stigma impacts society economically, politically, and socially. Laws and policies are even passed to uphold a puristic ideal, which isn't practical in real life.
Welcome to Low. At Low, we believe in protecting women. A good woman will never give in to temptation. That's why we preach abstinence. Abstinence has proven 100% effective, except maybe for Mary. Try out our Vibe is Naive package today. Low is free for all women. Not suitable for women seeking assistance in reproductive health care, teen pregnancy, abortion, big no.
Abortion is the don't talk to boys and when are you getting married catch-22 of reproductive health care. Abortion stigma negatively marks women internally and externally, and they are seen as inferior to the ideals of motherhood. Women are expected to be perfect and ready to deal with everything thrown at them. Sorry, but we are not the ocean. We can't take all your trash and still have you swim in us. Women are apparently only supposed to come in wife and mother sizes. And sorry to disappoint, but women are not a one-size-fits-all, like all those hand-me-downs from your siblings. People across the board go out of their way to shame women who get abortions, terming them irresponsible and immoral. Unfortunately, one large group that is likely to get abortions on this continent are girls aged 10 to 19 years. Those are children. This kind of stigma does not just affect women and girls seeking this service. Healthcare workers who are willing to assist in providing abortion care are shamed and criminalized too. Abortion law in Kenya is spoken to by the 1970 Penal Code, which criminalizes it. But the 2010 Constitution makes exceptions to this criminalization. This sounds like that weird weight of me trying to say don't at the same time as Bryson Tiller. Also, a law from 1970 should not be holding people back. Laws of the land were still fresh from a colonization high, So maybe it's time for a review. That said, the tide is actually changing. A lady who sought out abortion care and a healthcare provider who assisted her were arrested in Malindi. During their arraignment, the High Court in Malindi went on to declare abortion as a fundamental human right, and arbitrary arrests of women seeking abortion services and healthcare workers helping them to be completely illegal. The court also demanded that MPs look to pass a law protecting women and girls and healthcare workers to help push for safe abortion and abortion care countrywide. Yay, Malindi, you did it! Kudos to your son, your bitches, and perfect judgment passing. This landmark ruling is a step in the right direction in protecting reproductive rights, and I can't wait for this to go national like my high school drama team. Well, we're still on that. We actually lost, but on the plus side, I have a certificate of participation which I have filed in the same folder as my art degree. So what does abortion care look like? Let's start with what it isn't. It's not sending your friend a bouquet of flowers and a note that says, "You're free, welcome back to the streets." Unless that's what she wants, then I completely support it and you can totally send out that tweet. Comprehensive abortion care includes provision of information, abortion management, which kind of sounds like your doctor appoints a CEO to manage your abortion affairs, and post-abortion care. It includes care related to miscarriages, induced abortions, and incomplete abortions. The medical journey after an abortion can be tricky, like the numbness you feel after a visit to the dentist, except with abortion, it's your life that's at stake. According to BMC Women's Health, the most common complications from unsafe abortions are incomplete abortion, excessive blood loss, and infection. This is a death sentence for so many women and girls, and all those people who believe human life is sacred should support safe abortions and not just wait to hold a candle at someone's vigil. The subject of teenagers and abortion is a very sensitive one. Therefore, guardrails need to be set up to protect them in case they need one. They could be accompanied by a guardian, or healthcare centers could have an official signatory from the facility accompanied by a social worker to help guide them. I know some of you may be very mad that I will suggest such a thing, but remember, teenage girls are just as likely to die from childbirth because their bodies are still developing. Being a girl child is mostly about losing on multiple fronts. While this is wildly uncomfortable, it's not as bad as having to bury a little girl because she had an unsafe abortion due to the social stigma surrounding abortion. As signatories of the Maputo Protocol, this country owes them in the very least safety if they want to procure one. This is why post-abortion care is so important. It consists of emergency treatment for complications related to spontaneous or induced abortions, family planning counseling, giving family planning methods to prevent mistimed or unplanned pregnancies. Doing this helps reduce repeat abortions because women can actually get pregnant 2 weeks after the procedure, and no one wants an abortion sequel. Post-abortion care also includes services such as evaluation for sexually transmitted infections, including HIV and AIDS. Post-abortion care is a package deal, like a job that comes with housing allowance and health insurance. I know a lot of millennials are struggling to compute that sentence. So here's why abortion isn't just a women's issue. Following the opening of this episode, abortions don't just happen in a vacuum. Pregnancy results directly from sex. Yeah, I know, some conservative minds are being blown right now. That's why when the education CSN man whose hair left him to start a new life asked,
hii ujinga ya pregnancy inatoka wapi? What is it? Can we take our parenthood back? Can we take our parenthood back where we sanctify life?
It took me a second to figure out that maybe he didn't get sex education, and that's because the system failed him, as it has so many others. Without comprehensive sex education, information on consent and contraception, many teenage girls end up engaging in sexual activity with their peers, or some end up vulnerable to predators and end up as victims of statutory rape. Over the pandemic, the number of teenage pregnancies went up by 40%, and the framing of the story was hurtful to teenage girls. Spearheading this horror show was Kajiado Sub-County, which had a victim-shaming campaign called Funga Miguu Initiative.
Now to Funga Miguu Initiative, quite the provocative one, and it is a bold initiative that has been kicked off in Kajiado South Sub-County that seeks to stomp out unplanned pregnancies in the area. Opinion leaders championing the cause are terming the problem a crisis and need to be treated as such. They say that the youth ought to be engaged by all means necessary in order to save the generation. Charity Mwangi reports.
Since the COVID-19 pandemic hit, learning was paralyzed, and with that, another crisis started taking shape. Unsupervised youth with raging hormones are adding to the statistics of underage pregnancies across the country.
Teenage girls were and still are not safe in their homes or in schools, meaning that men are a big part of the problem. And before the not all men faction comes for me, start a Twitter thread and see how many of them are hiding in plain sight. The median age for sexual debut in Kenya is 16 years, but for some, and brace yourself because this is heartbreaking, is 9 years old. 9 years old. That is extremely horrifying. 60% of adolescents in Kenya are engaging in sexual activity out of curiosity, whether people choose to educate them or not. Remember my quote about suns and hourglasses from earlier? You should, because I completely forgot it, but it's important. This is also a direct catalyst for those who end up procuring unsafe abortions. For women and girls who end up with unplanned pregnancies and carry them to term, the cost of childcare is a stressful component. Family planning and childcare is an issue they are abandoned with. People are like, you're a good woman, you can do this. Yes, you do not have financial support, but the heavens will open for you, love and light. Abortion is an alternative that accords them the chance to replan their life and that of their children if they choose to have them in the future. Childcare is extremely expensive and could plunge people into deeper levels of poverty. I know Sauti Sol said, Mungu akileta mtoto analeta na sahani yake, but sometimes the plate breaks or it's already broken. Healthcare workers play a crucial role in ensuring abortions are safe and properly monitored. Abortion providers are usually termed as dirty workers, and most of them are even afraid to speak openly about their work. Their job in providing abortions and post-abortion care is important in keeping women and girls safe, like Spider-Man saving all those people from that train crash. Healthcare workers will also be very helpful in reporting cases of statutory rape, incest, and even GBV. This is a snitches initiative that I am willing to put my money behind. One of the key reasons I did this episode is because I saw a story where a Spanish NGO paid some Kenyan influencers $10 to $15 to spread abortion misinformation. This was in relation to a bill that was supposed to do more to further reproductive health care in this country. These influencers took to the Twitterverse to attack activists and politicians leading the discussion on this bill. I don't know who these influencers are, but $10 to spread misinformation. I know we all have to eat, but $10? Come on, I thought you had a little more belief in the retweets you were going to get. Next time, ask for more. Seriously though, women and girls should not risk their lives getting abortion services because it's morally wrong. Whether you're opposed to it or not, abortion is healthcare. All the important services that can be provided can help end unsafe abortions, therefore saving lives. I hope I'm getting at least a week hell yeah from the pro-life crowd. Before I let you go, I want to remind you that all is not hopeless. There are people doing the work to change this narrative. There are institutions helping women procure safe abortion services like Marie Stops Kenya and Safe Abortion Kenya. There are initiatives that have stepped in to help with sex education like Straight Talk KE. Amnesty International Kenya also partnered with stakeholders like the church, teachers, and healthcare service providers in Bungoma some time back through their Teenage Pregnancies Awareness Month. All this work is very important. I couldn't cover every aspect of this topic, but I hope this helps enlighten everyone who feels differently about it. Thank you for joining me on this episode. Stay tuned for more and stay woke.